This is the moment we've all been waiting for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Let's get ready to
rumble! Cleveland Cavaliers. They win 16 in a row. It's hard to believe. This is the second time this year they've won 15, at least 15 in a row. But they take it even further this time with 16 in a row. They're the seventh team in NBA history to have this record through their first, 66 games. I was just reading the Danny Cunningham tweet. 4 of those 6 previous teams won the championship. So what I want to start off by
What
saying...
happened to one of those other teams?
One of those other teams, the Cavs won the championship that year. So they didn't win it, but the Cavs ended up winning. So that's pretty good, right? But what I wanted to say to start this off is just there is literally no reason why anybody should think the Cavs can't win a championship this year. If you have concerns or if you don't think they're the favorites, that's fine. But there's no reason why they can't win a championship. And if you think they can't, you are wrong. And this is another game that's just proof that even with Donovan Mitchell out on the road against a very good Memphis Grizzlies team, they're top 10 in offense and defense. This is a good team. They're not a slouch. The Cavs walk into Memphis, whoop their ass without Darius Garland even shooting the ball well. And I think Darius actually played great tonight, aside from the shooting numbers, but just an all-around amazing game. I think it's a statement win. Jackson, what were your takes? I know you were doing the live stream. Break it down for me.
I had a lot of takes, but one of my big things coming into this game is that this is a game that normal basketball teams lose. You know, you're playing a good team, you're without your best player. It's in the middle of a string of like really tough games from a schedule perspective where you're at home, on the road, at home, on the road, at home, and then you're going to be going back to a Western Conference road trip for the next week. So this is a game that would have been easy to come out flat. This would have been a game that 99% of regular NBA teams just lose as a schedule loss. And the Grizzlies are a very good team. But the Cavs, they showed like this was a 9-point game. This game was not a 9-point game if you were actually watching it. The Cavs were in absolute complete control throughout the whole game. They dominated both sides of the ball. They just showed once again this team's superpower is their depth that came through once again. As you know, you get out to a good start. Max Strus has 9 quick early points. Then what do? You bring in Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter off the bench. They start getting going. Sam Merrill starts hitting a couple threes. Jarrett Allen, you get mismatches. We're just going to punish that. You know, Zach Edey, he wasn't able to even play, really after the first quarter because they just played him off the court. They said, you're going to have Zach Edey out here. Evan Mobley, you're going to shoot threes over him. We're going to attack him in the pick and roll. We're going to get switches. So it's just like this team is just like relentless and just the different lineups that they can throw out there. I mean, they threw out Javonte Green today. And I know his field goal percentage looks a lot worse because he was 0 for 200 in garbage time.
Some of those shots looked even worse than the box score would suggest too. He
right,
top of the backboard on a corner 3 and then airballed one from above the break. But he was still a positive impact, as you're about to say. Yeah.
Yeah, he was good. He has a -7 and a plus because when he went out there with the garbage time unit, they just got absolutely smoked.
Can I drop a take real quick on that?
Your boy Craig Porter Jr. -11 in garbage time.
I got to drop a take on this. All right, listen. If any opposing teams are watching, any scouts, anyone trying to figure out how do we stop this Cavs team, just clear your bench with 5 minutes left, 6, maybe even 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
That's a good
Just wave the white flag. Get the garbage time unit out there because you're going to come back. It doesn't matter what the score is. The Cavs garbage time unit, for whatever reason, has to be the worst in the NBA, and I don't know who's keeping track of that.
Are they garbage?
And it's weird because I think they have decent players out there. Craig Porter Jr. looks so much better. I mean, I guess this isn't a surprise. He looks better when there's a team around him versus when it's him, Tristan Thompson, Javonte Green. Those lineups just get absolutely destroyed. And they were good against the Knicks, I guess, but most often they've been getting just obliterated. If you're an opposing team, just wave the white flag early. You'll get back into the game much faster that way. Because the Cavs, you said it, the actual players are relentless. Every time Memphis, again, it's a 9-point game, so you might think, oh, wow, it's, relatively close game. No. Every time Memphis even somewhat felt like they were gaining momentum, someone on the Cavs slammed the door shut. Sam Merrill hit a bunch of big threes tonight to do that. Darius Garland, down the stretch, it was the best scoring stretch he had. He had like 12 points, I think, entering the fourth quarter. He put up 8 that quarter, I believe, just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Deep three-pointer to like officially shut the door. Just an awesome game overall.
Yeah. One thing, so the Craig Porter Jr., I do want to say in garbage time, it's like the most recent Summer League phenomenon where like he's on the court in Summer League and you're like, there's no way this guy's an NBA player with how he's playing when he's just playing with a bunch of scrubs. So we see that in garbage time. But yeah, I hope that was one of your takeaways. I haven't read the takeaways, but you need to go back and add that. If you want to beat the Cavs, wave the white flag with like 8 minutes left.
Yeah, no, that's seriously the blooper, right? Oh man,
one thing I did want to bring up: sneaky good game from Isaac Okoro. Just wanted to,
let's go. This whole thing was worth it.
The thing I wanted to do is I wanted to say this before you like overpraised him. I
wasn't even going to mention it.
I thought they did a good job of using him in like as a screen and roller. He only had we see the stats. He had like
gotta make sure everyone
7 points.
Everyone sees it.
But he did a good job, I thought, crashing the offensive glass. He only had 1 offensive rebound, but he did also force like a turnover by crashing the glass.
Yeah.
So good stuff from Isaac. I mean, DeAndre Hunter, this is kind of why you get DeAndre Hunter. I thought he did a really good job of switching out to John Moran at times. Thought he did a good job on the defensive end. Got called for a couple bad fouls, but also was phenomenal on offense the whole time. Just a huge difference maker. And it's like, you just have so many guys who can go off on that bench. DeAndre Hunter can go off. Ty Jerome can go off. Sam Merrill can give you points. It's just they just have so many options. It's just insane.
Yeah, their depth is one of the things that I mentioned in my takeaways for Fear of the Sword. Everyone go check that out after we're done here. The fact that you walk into Memphis, a game on the road, a team that like they're jockeying for playoff position. The Cavs, we basically have the number 1 seed locked up because life is just good over here. But for Memphis, this game actually matters a lot. Like this is a really important game for them. And you don't have Donovan Mitchell, and they come in and you mentioned Max Strus starts off with a couple of threes. Mobley gets going. Then just when you think, all right, well, Mobley, at least the starters are coming out. We're going to talk about Mobley. But just when Memphis thinks, all right, the starters are going out, we'll have a chance. Maybe Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter come off the bench, accelerate that momentum. They're hitting threes. They each hit 4 3-pointers. Well, not each, sorry. They combined for 4 3-pointers in the first half. DeAndre Hunter had 3 of them. 10 different Cavaliers played in the first half, and 10 different Cavaliers had at least 2 points. Everybody scored a bucket, and 7 of those players hit at least 1 3. They were just raining threes on Memphis, no matter who it was. When everyone's playing this good, Mobley's playing that good, Garland setting the stage. I thought Jarrett Allen was really good tonight too. When you're already getting those types of performances from your, original big 3, plus, a couple threes from Max Strus, a couple threes from Sam Merrill, DeAndre Hunter hits a couple threes, Ty Jerome hits a 3, and like some of the most absurd floaters I've ever seen. Javonte Green hits 2 threes. It's like, how do you can't beat this team at that point. They're absolutely destroying you from like every time down the floor. They got a good look. Sometimes it was a 3, sometimes it was a dunk. It didn't matter. It felt like Memphis had no chance to slow them down.
Yeah, and really they took like 43 threes because Javonte Green took 8 of those 51. So want to point that out. Yeah. But no, Evan, we got to talk about Evan Mobley. We haven't talked about Evan Mobley enough.
Yeah, we should have opened with Evan Mobley.
Should have opened with Evan Mobley.
Good God, was that one of the best, at least just first halves, one of the best halves he's ever played. It was a phenomenal game all around, but he came out immediately. He blocked Jaren Jackson Jr. in the first quarter. And then obviously everyone's going to focus on him raining threes, the 3 consecutive threes in transition, 1 to end the first quarter and then 2 more at the start of the second quarter in transition. Like 2 of them were pull-ups. The fact that he did that, everyone's going to focus on that because that's like the coolest and most awesome part. But the fact that he was literally doing a little bit of everything, all while giving you the shooting too. Like he had the 22 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 1 steal. You mentioned Zach Edey. He was actually bullying Zach Edey too. He wasn't just hitting threes over him. He was boxing him out. And people forget, just a year ago, Evan Mobley was a pretty thin guy you could kind of toss around. Zach Edey's a huge person, and he could not move Evan Mobley tonight. Evan Mobley was destroying him on the glass, as well as pulling up and hitting threes in his face like easy money sniper. Hands down, one of the best games Mobley's ever played.
I don't know about one of the best games Mobley ever played, but
at least one of the best halves.
He really hit 4 threes because like his big feet were on the line for one of them, which is maybe an homage to Kevin Durant, really.
He looked like KD in many ways today.
Yeah, so that's an elaborate homage to KD. But yeah, so that's I think when you see Evan Mobley hit those threes like that, you're just like, what am I supposed to do with a guy who's 7 feet tall, who is as fluid, bringing the ball up the court, who's as good of a passer, who's also the very best defensive player in the entire league, and now he's hitting threes, and he's somebody who can get baskets in the paint, and you can't push around in the paint. It's like when Evan Mobley said that he's going to be, in 5 years, either him or Wemby's going to be the best player in the league. This is what he meant. Like, he's like, guys, I'm this good. And when he hits just a couple threes, it's just like, you just feel like, what can you possibly do to stop this guy? So the next step is doing this on a more consistent basis, because obviously, like, a night where he effectively goes 4 or 7 from 3 stands out a lot, and we're getting to a point where, like, last year, the year before, if he scored over 20 points, it's like, Evan Mobley's here, because those games like those games stood out because that wasn't normal. Now these games don't stand out as much, but when he hits like 4 threes, that does stand out. The next goal is like, he's hitting 4 threes at such a consistent level that it doesn't stand out at all. That it's just like, oh yeah, you leave Evan Mobley open, he's just going to drain a 3 because he's freaking Evan Mobley. Like, duh, you can't do that. So that's the next step. But when you get those brief glimpses, it's like, dude, he has so much room to grow, and he's so good.
Yeah, I mean, the dude, you mentioned it. Like a game like this in the past, we would have been losing our minds, and now it's kind of just almost it's gonna get swept under the rug. This one probably won't because the 3-point shooting. But I'm just looking at his box scores right now because, again, like if he had any sort of 20-point game, 25-point game, we'd be losing our minds in years past. I'm just going to read off just looking at a couple. I guess I should have shared my screen, but it's fine. I'll just read them off for you. Since January 29th, I'm just going to read off a couple games that he's had. 22 points, 15 rebounds. 22 points, 11 rebounds, 4 blocks. 30 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. 28 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. I could keep going. 21 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 block. Like he just keeps he's been flirting with the triple-double a couple different times during this stretch. And this is what we've been waiting to see. Demo said in the chat, it's not flashes anymore. He's dominating entire games fairly consistently. Not full picture yet. It's not the entire completed process, but it's like every other game, you're getting a really, really good, really dominant Evan Mobley performance. And it's just something that we've been waiting to see. And now it's materialized and he's officially here. I think it's a guarantee. I'm at the point, it's a guarantee he's going to be an all-NBA player. There is no way he's not on an all-NBA team. He's going to be the defensive player of the year. And he should be somewhere all-NBA, whether it's third, second. He probably won't be first, but he's going to be on first. One. Yeah. And that's just, it's awesome to be able to say that now. We're here. We've arrived.
Do want to say one thing. John Morant had a phenomenal game. Once he got downhill, the Cavs couldn't stop him. So he had 44 points. That feels like it's worth mentioning. One of the things that I like is that he was like a -6, which is pretty respectable. So that means that basically when he was off the floor, the Cavs, that's where their depth really shone through. And that's something that we saw in like the game against the Bucks, where it's like, oh yeah, when you have Dame and Giannis on the floor, you can kind of stay within arm's reach. But then it's like, oh, you put Giannis on the bench, well, like Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter they're just going to go off. So, because I don't want to go too long because I have to do some writing. But last thing I want to ask you: when do the Cleveland Cavaliers lose a basketball game?
Never again.
Never.
I've been led
Not
to
even
believe
like
that they're
game
never
3
going to
against
lose
the
a game again.
Celtics.
No,
Like game 3.
I think
I
we're
mean, they're
going
win
all the
game
way
4.
to June. Okay, no. In all honesty, I said this on the playback stream. The win streaks get exhausting after a while, not as a fan, but just as a player. I'm saying like it does wear on you. So like 70 is certainly on the table. I'd be all for winning 70 games, but my main focus, my main hope is let's get to the playoffs healthy and fresh without the stress of being on like a 23 game win streak, whatever it may be. Like I'm cool with losing some point in the next week or so. Get it, reset, everyone kind of relax. All right, let's refocus, get ready for the playoffs. So I know it sounds weird. I know it sounds crazy, but like I'm good with dropping like one game sometime soon and then ending on like a relative hot streak. Last thing that I want to say very, very quickly, because I know we got to go. We try to keep these post-game reactions short. I already mentioned it a little bit, but Darius Garland, I know he had that hip injury recently, and the three-point shooting still wasn't good tonight. Not sure what's going on there. He's been shooting poorly for a while, but the last 2 games, especially fourth quarter against Brooklyn and then this game, I think he's moving very, very well. He looked shifty. He looked explosive. No one on Memphis could stay in front of him. He was just shredding the point of attack every single time, and he only had 9 assists, but man, was his processing speed in this game. He was like 6 steps ahead of the defense. He was masterful as a playmaker tonight. I felt like nobody had an answer for him, and he didn't score the ball that well, but the box score isn't going to reflect it. I thought he was so good this game.
Yeah, I mentioned this on our last podcast, and he was generating like A+ looks the whole game, like not even just the fourth quarter, but the whole game. But he was just missing a lot of really open threes that he created for himself. So those will go, but again, you like that he's aggressive and that he's creating those looks, because in the slumps that he had last year, he just wasn't creating these looks.
Yeah.
So
and if my math is correct, if my math is lining up here, he was 4 of 6 from the 2-point range tonight, 3 of 11 over from 3, but 4 of 6 inside the paint. So that's good, because I am not worried about Darius Garland being able to shoot the 3-pointer. I just want him to be able to get to the rim and score in the in-between game. So any final takes, or are we wrapping it up?
One thing I want to say about the streak is I feel like when you talk to the Cavs after these games, they don't care about the streak at all. Like they're not bringing it up on their own. They're not talking about it too much. It's very different than the streak at the beginning of the year, where they were still trying to believe who they were as a team, and like that Warriors streak of like however many games it was in a row that they won. That was actually like a realistic goal. Yeah. And I think you throw in like Kenny Atkinson as the new head coach, there was a real like desire to keep that going. This time it just feels very different in the sense of like, I don't think they care too much about the streak. They just don't like to lose, and they're a good basketball team. I think that's like a legitimate difference. Yeah. Like they've rested guys throughout the streak. They didn't push Donovan back. I don't think they're going to like, I don't think they're not going to be like, oh, we're playing in LA on Tuesday. Everyone's playing 40 minutes. Oh, we're playing in Sacramento the next night. We got to keep the streak alive. Everyone's playing 40 minutes. Like, no, they're going to probably rest guys. They're going to still do those same things. So I don't have like concerns about like the Cavs winning too much, because I do understand what you're saying. I just feel like this Cavs team is like taking everything into proper perspective right now, which is it's just great to see, honestly.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And I do want to be clear. I don't think there's anything winning too much is ever an issue. There's no such thing as winning too much. And I think the Cavs have handled it well. My point was like, I just don't want them to feel exhausted, and you hit on it. Look at the minutes they played tonight. Evan Mobley, only 32 minutes. Garland, only 30 minutes. Like, that's the thing that's so different too, is they're not only just beating teams, but they're doing it without exerting their stars very much. So it's been an awesome year for the Cavs. That's going to do it for this episode of the Junkyard Pod / Playback stream. Thank you guys for being here. These streams have been a lot of fun. I'm sure Jackson held it down solo tonight. And so make sure you're here tomorrow. He's going to be watching Pacers Bucks, I think he said. And then Sunday we'll be back for Cavs Magic. So I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your night.